While the world watches TikTok bans, trade wars, and political tensions, there's a China that 99% of Westerners will never see. And that's exactly why it remains so magnificently untouched by the narratives. Right now, as algorithms decide what you think about this country, there are limestone peaks piercing through clouds like something from a painting. Valleys where waterfalls cascade into turquoise pools that scientists thought impossible. And 2,200-year-old armies standing silent underground, waiting for visitors who'll never come because the headlines wrote a different story. But here's what's hiding behind the firewall of assumptions. Ancient water towns where canals reflect 1,000-year-old architecture, mountains wrapped in mist that inspired every Chinese painting you've ever seen, and a diversity so vast that it spans from tropical islands to Himalayan plateaus, from neon-lit megacities to villages where time stopped during the Ming Dynasty. This isn't the China of factory stereotypes or political sound bites. This is the China of poets, painters, and 5,000 years of civilization building gardens, carving Buddhas into cliffs, and creating landscapes so surreal they inspired Avatar's floating mountains. Subscribe to 4K Relaxation Scene, because for the next few minutes, we're journeying through 20 places that will completely shatter every assumption you have about the world's most populous nation. ZHANGJIAJIE National Forest Park in Hunan Province is the pillar forest where the 1,080-meter quartzite sandstone columns inspired Avatar's Hallelujah Mountains, creating the otherworldly landscape. The park has over 3,000 sandstone pillars formed by the erosion over millions of years, creating the isolated towers covered in the vegetation. The Avatar Hallelujah Mountain, formerly the Southern Sky Column, rises 1,080 meters, directly inspiring James Cameron's Floating Mountains. The glass bridge spanning the ZHANGJIAJIE Grand Canyon is 430 meters long, suspended 300 meters above the canyon floor. The Beilong Elevator is the world's tallest outdoor elevator, ascending 326 meters up the cliff face in 2 minutes. The park is perpetually misty, with the pillars emerging from the fog, creating the ethereal atmosphere. And visit from April to June or September to November for the comfortable weather, avoiding the summer humidity and the winter cold. Have you walked the glass bridge 300 meters above the canyon between the Avatar Mountains? Terracotta Army in XI'AN is the underground necropolis where the 8,000 life-size soldiers, the 2,200-year burial, and the accidental discovery create the archaeological wonder. The army was buried with Emperor Qin Shi Huang in 210 BCE to protect him in the afterlife. The soldiers were discovered in 1974 by farmers digging a well. Each soldier is unique with the different faces, the expressions, and the ranks. The figures originally held the real weapons and were painted in the bright colors, though the paint disintegrated upon the excavation. The three pits contain the infantry, the cavalry, the chariots, and the command unit arranged in the battle formation. The Emperor's tomb remains unexcavated 1.5 kilometers away, possibly containing the Mercury rivers and the palace. The site is the UNESCO World Heritage Site. You visit year-round, with the museum protecting the figures from the weather. Have you stood before the 8,000 soldiers buried for 2,200 years to guard the Emperor? JIUZHAIGOU Valley in Sichuan Province is the fairy tale landscape where the 118 turquoise lakes, the colorful pools, and the waterfalls create the UNESCO Nature Reserve. The name means Nine Village Valley, referring to the Tibetan villages. The lakes are formed by the ancient glacial activity and the limestone barriers, creating the stepped pools. The watercolors range from turquoise to emerald to sapphire, depending on the depth, the minerals, and the algae. The five-flower lake has the fallen trees visible through the crystal-clear water, creating the underwater forest. The Nuoralang waterfall is 270 meters wide, cascading over the travertine formations. The valley sits at 2,000 to 4,500 meters elevation, with the snow-capped peaks. The pandas and the golden snub-nosed monkeys inhabit the forests, though the sightings are rare. And visit from September to October for the autumn colors, or April to May for the spring blooms, avoiding the summer crowds. Have you seen the 118 turquoise lakes cascading through the valley? Great Wall of China at MUTIANYU, northeast of Beijing, is the restored section where the watchtowers, the mountain ridges, and the 2,000-year construction create the accessible wall experience. The wall stretches 21,196 kilometers across northern China, built from the 7th century BCE to 1644 CE to protect against the invasions. The MUTIANYU section from the 6th century was restored in 1569, with the 23 watchtowers along the 2.25-kilometer tourist route. The wall follows the mountain ridges with the steep climbs and the descents. The cable car and the toboggan provide the alternative access. The section is less crowded than Badaling, offering the better experience. The autumn foliage and the winter snow create the different atmospheres. The wall required millions of workers over centuries, with the countless deaths. A visit from April to June or September to November for the comfortable hiking weather and the clear views. Have you climbed the watchtowers on the 2,000-year-old wall snaking across the mountains? HUANGSHAN in Anhui Province is the granite peak landscape where the twisted pines the sea of clouds, and the sunrise views create the Chinese painting inspiration. The mountains have 72 peaks, with the Lotus Peak at 1,864 meters being the highest. The HUANGSHAN pines grow from the granite cliffs in the twisted shapes, becoming the symbols of Chinese resilience. The Sea of Clouds forms when the moisture condenses in the valleys below the peaks, creating the island effect. The sunrise viewing requires the pre-dawn cable car or the overnight stay at the summit hotels. The hot springs at the base have the therapeutic properties. The steps climbing to the summit number over 60,000, taking 3 to 4 hours. The mountains inspired the traditional Chinese landscape painting for centuries. Visit from March to May or September to November when the weather is clear, avoiding the summer rain and the winter ice. Have you watched the sunrise above the Sea of Clouds from the granite peaks? GUILIN and the Li River in Guangxi Province are the karst landscape where the limestone peaks, the bamboo rafts, and the cormorant fishermen create the classic Chinese scenery. The karst peaks were formed over 300 million years by the erosion, creating the dramatic vertical towers rising from the plains. The Li River cruise from Guilin to Yangshuo passes the peaks with the names like Elephant Trunk Hill and Nine Horses Fresco Hill. The cormorant fishermen use the trained birds diving to catch the fish with the rings preventing the swallowing. The bamboo raft trips provide the closer water level perspective. The countryside has the rice paddies and the traditional villages. The scenery appears on the 20 yuan note. The area is humid year-round with the frequent mist enhancing the atmospheric effect. A visit from April to October, avoiding the winter cold and the low water levels. Have you cruised the Li River past the karst peaks appearing on the Chinese currency? Chengdu Giant Panda Base in Sichuan Province is the research facility where the 80 giant pandas, the breeding program, and the conservation efforts create the panda viewing destination. The base was established in 1987 with 6 rescued pandas growing to over 200 births. The pandas are most active during the morning feeding from 8 to 10 a.m. before the heat makes them sleepy. The base covers 247 acres, with the enclosures mimicking the natural bamboo forest habitat. The pandas eat 26 to 84 pounds of bamboo daily, spending 14 hours feeding. The red pandas share the base, though they're unrelated to the giant pandas. The base focuses on the captive breeding with the goal of releasing pandas to the wild, though the success is limited. The base is 10 kilometers from Chengdu city center. And visit from March to May or September to November for the active pandas and the comfortable weather, avoiding the summer heat. Have you watched the giant pandas munching bamboo during the morning feeding time. Hangzhou's West Lake in Zhejiang Province is the UNESCO landscape where the pagodas, the causeways, and the willow trees create the paradise that Marco Polo called the finest city. The lake covers 6.5 square kilometers, surrounded by the hills and the historic sites. The Su Causeway and the Bai Causeway divide the lake, planted with the willows and the peach trees. The Lifeng Pagoda, rebuilt in 2002, replaced the original from 975 CE that collapsed in 1924. The three pools mirroring the moon has the stone pagodas creating the moon reflection during the Mid-Autumn Festival. The lake inspired the poetry and the painting for centuries, with the 10 scenes of West Lake being the classic theme. The Dragon Well tea plantations on the surrounding hills produce China's most famous green tea. Visit from March to May or September to November, when the weather is mild and the gardens bloom. Have you boated West Lake, watching the pagoda reflect in the water? Marco Polo praised. If you're captivated by China's hidden diversity, from the karst peaks to the Tibetan palaces, smash that subscribe button on 4K Relaxation Scene and hit the notification bell, because we're only halfway through and the most stunning destinations are still coming. Every pillar forest, ancient city, and mountain landscape reveals why China is way more than the factory stereotypes. Like, comment, and share. If you want to see more places beyond the politics, SUZHOU Classical Gardens in Jiangsu Province are the UNESCO landscapes where the 60 preserved gardens, the scholar retreats, and the Songqing architecture create the paradise. The gardens were built by the wealthy merchants and the scholars from the 11th to 19th centuries as the private retreats. The humble administrator's garden from 1509 is the largest, covering 5 hectares, with the ponds, the pavilions, and the rock arrangements. The gardens demonstrate the Chinese landscape philosophy, miniaturizing the nature with the water, the rocks, the plants, and the architecture. The rocks are from the nearby Taihu Lake, valued for the eroded shapes with the holes. The gardens use the borrowed scenery, incorporating the distant views into the garden composition. The Marco Polo called SUZHOU the Venice of the East for the canals. A visit from March to May or September to November, when the gardens bloom and the weather is mild. Have you walked the scholar gardens, miniaturizing the nature in the ponds and the pavilions? Hong Kong on the Pearl River Delta is the vertical city where the skyscrapers, the Victoria Peak, and the East meets West create the special administrative region. The city returned to China in 1997 after 156 years of British rule, maintaining the separate system. The skyline has over 9,000 high-rises, more than any city, with the skyscrapers packed on the Hong Kong Island and Kowloon. The Victoria Peak tram, climbing to 552 meters, provides the panoramic views. The Star ferry crossing Victoria Harbour costs 40 cents and operates since 1888. The Temple Street Night Market and the Ladies' Market sell the clothes, the electronics, and the street food. The city has the Michelin-starred dim sum, the street noodles, and the roast meats. The protests in 2019 to 2020 changed the political climate. And visit from October to December for the comfortable weather, avoiding the summer heat and the typhoons. Have you ridden the Peak tram to the viewpoint overlooking the vertical city? Shanghai on the Yangtze Delta is the megacity where the 24 million residents, the Bund waterfront, and the Art Deco heritage create the financial capital. The city was the treaty port from 1842, with the foreign concessions creating the unique architecture mixing the Chinese and the Western styles. The Bund waterfront has the 1920s to 30s Art Deco buildings facing the Pudong skyline, with the Oriental Pearl Tower and the Shanghai Tower at 632 meters, China's tallest building. The French concession has the tree-lined streets, with the cafes and the boutiques. The Yu Garden from 1559 is the classical Chinese garden in the Old Town. The Nanjing Road is the shopping street stretching 5.5 kilometers. The city is the global financial center with the stock exchange and the multinational headquarters. A visit from March to May or September to November, avoiding the summer heat and the winter cold. Have you watched the Bund's Art Deco buildings light up, facing the futuristic Pudong skyline? Harbin Ice and Snow World in Heilongjiang Province is the winter festival where the ice castles, the LED lights, and the sub-zero sculptures create the frozen wonderland. The city is near the Russian border with the Russian architecture and the culture influence. The festival runs from January to February with the massive ice sculptures carved from the Songhua River ice. The structures include the palaces, the bridges, and the slides built from the 180,000 cubic meters of ice blocks. The LED lights illuminate the ice, creating the colorful displays at night. The ice slides reach 240 meters long. The festival includes the snow sculpture exhibition, the ice swimming, and the winter activities. The temperatures drop to minus 30 degrees Celsius, requiring the extreme cold gear. The Siberian Tiger Park has the largest captive Siberian tiger population. You visit from January to February for the festival during the coldest months. Have you walked through the ice palace illuminated by the LED lights at -30 degrees Celsius? Forbidden City in Beijing is the Imperial Palace, where the 980 buildings, the 500-year history, and the Ming-Qing dynasties create the world's largest palace complex. The palace was built from 1406 to 1420, serving as the home for 24 emperors until 1912. The complex covers 178 acres, with the 980 buildings containing 9,999 rooms, one less than heaven. The palace is surrounded by the 10-meter-high walls and the 52-meter-wide moat. The Meridian Gate is the main entrance with the 5 arches. The Hall of Supreme Harmony is the largest hall where the emperor held the ceremonies. The palace is divided into the outer court for the ceremonies and the inner court for the living quarters. The palace became the museum in 1925, housing the imperial collections. A visit from April to June or September to November, avoiding the summer crowds and the winter cold. Have you walked through the palace where 24 emperors ruled China for 500 years? So there you have it. 20 destinations revealing the China that exists far beyond the trade tensions, the factory stereotypes, and the algorithm-curated narratives that shape perceptions. From the 8,000 terracotta soldiers standing guard for 2,200 years to the karst peaks that inspired every Chinese painting. From the pandas munching bamboo to the glacial lakes that scientists thought were impossible, China's scale and diversity are absolutely staggering. This isn't the China of political soundbites or manufacturing cliches. This is the China of 5,000 years of civilization, building gardens that miniature nature, carving caves into cliff faces, and creating landscapes so surreal that Hollywood copied them for blockbusters. The truth is, while the West debates chips and apps, these places remain remarkably preserved, and offering glimpses into dynasties, philosophies, and aesthetics that shaped Asia for millennia. If these hidden Chinese landscapes captivated you, smash that subscribe on 4K Relaxation Scene, because we're exploring the world's most misunderstood destinations in stunning 4K. Drop a comment telling me which Chinese wonder shocked you most. Are you Team Natural Wonders like ZHANGJIAJIE and JIUZHAIGOU, Team Ancient History like the Terracotta Army and the Forbidden City, or Team Cultural Sites like the Tibetan Plateau and the Mogao Caves? Until next time, keep seeking the places beyond the headlines. And remember that some of the world's most incredible destinations are hiding behind the narratives we're fed. Now experience China like you've never imagined it before.